Okay, I want to show you guys some things I've been playing around with in the Axe 3 multi-delay block. I've been having so much fun with this. I've lost so many hours of practice time to this, but I think it's all worthwhile because it sounds so good. I have barely scratched the surface with this video, but I feel like hopefully there's some cool tips in there that you can try out for yourself and use as a basis for your own experimentation. Specifically, we're going to be focusing on how to turn the multi-tap delay block into the ultimate chorus machine. I think this is one of these things where if this was all the Axe 3 did was this chorus block, it would still be a very worthwhile processor because it can do some things that I haven't heard anywhere else. Let's get into it. We're going to go over to Axe Edit View. You'll just be hearing my voice and hearing a bunch of chords and noodling. So if you like the video, hit subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and have some fun with the multi-delay block. I hope this inspires you to check it out.
Essentially, if you're familiar with how a chorus works, what we're doing is delaying a signal by a very small amount, modulating it, and then blending it back in with the original signal. And the quad tap delay lets us do that on up to 4 delay lines because now we have chorus available on each of these delay lines. So I've got the multi-delay block open up. What we're going to do is just tweak it out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll skip forward in time, and I will tell you what I've done. Okay, so I've set up the quad tap delay algorithm in the multi-delay block to be ready to apply some chorus to. What I'm going to do is hit Library. So I'm going to right-click the block, go to Library, Save As. I'm going to call this multi-delay. I'll just call it Chorus Reset, because then I can just dial this block up anytime I want to program some new chorus sounds. So very quickly, what I have done is gone through, because chorus does not feature a feedback circuit, I've set the feedback on everything to 0. I then set all the delay times to the minimum. I've also turned the tempo off. So if you can't adjust the delay time, it's because you want to click this guy and set the delay time to none. Then you can adjust it in terms of milliseconds. I've set the mix to 50%, so an equal mix of dry signal and affected signal. Then I have gone into the time modulation section and turned all of that off on the LFO. So that's all set to 0, and the choruses are all set to 0 at the moment. So this is what we've got going on at the moment. Some very short delays, which is just going to give us essentially like a spatial effect. Sounds like this. So nothing too spectacular there. I've got each delay panned hard left and hard right, so each pair of delays, I should say. What we can do is go to the chorus block, and let's just start with one delay line. This is chorus number 1 on delay number 1, and just increase the depth a little bit. You'll immediately hear some chorusing. So that's panned hard left. I might bring the depth up a little bit, and I'll add a bit of depth on chorus number 2, which has a slightly different rate. So because the rate here is a little bit higher, I'll leave the depth a little bit lower. We get this. Which sounds gorgeous, and I can just add in the other 2 choruses if I want. So far, this is pretty basic settings. We get quite a gorgeous chorus effect. So let's just turn the depth on chorus 3 and 4 off for now. And I'm going to go to delay 3 and 4 and set the level to 0, because we just play around with the dual chorus for a second and kind of get that dialed in. A big factor in fine-tuning your chorus tones here is going to be adjusting the delay time. I normally like a delay time between 3 and 6 milliseconds, so let's go for those 2 extreme values. I'll go with 3 on delay 1 and 6 on delay 2. Now this starts to sound even better. Have a listen to this. So gorgeous kind of late 70s, early 80s kind of chorusing happening there. What we can then add in is let's pan delay 3 and 4 to about 2/3 of the way left and right. And we'll go for a similar amount of delay. picking values from thin air for no reason there. I think they all sound pretty good, but let's have a go at that now. Which is sounding beautiful already. What I like to do is add a bit of high cut. We can take that, say, to around 7.5K. Why not? Sounds like this kind of sounds like it warms everything up. Which is a very nice, lush, spatial effect that we've got going on there. One of my favorite things to do in this block, though, which you cannot do with a normal chorus block, is to use some diffusion. So we go to more, and we can add some diffusion to the delay line. So even though they are short delay lines, we can sort of spread them out, and we get this like hybrid between a chorus and a reverb. Have a listen to it as I turn the diffusion up slightly. Which is so cool. I really, really like how that's blending in, like all the things I like about a chorus and all the things I like about a reverb. So if you're into sort of 80s new wave tones, this is your ticket. Just this one block, add some diffusion to some chorus, and it will sound great. Now, another feature in the multi-delay block is that we can use this input envelope essentially to generate automatic swells. So just try this, turn it up to, somewhere in the 70s and you get this. You can hear there that the intensity of my playing is going to dictate how much of the effect swells in, which I think is super cool. So just that diffuse chorus sound really, really makes this for me. What we can then do is we can add some time modulation and say just basically, we go to LFO1 and increase it, say to about 10%. Whoops, I'm going to leave that there. And then it's going to give us this. So I find just adding a little bit of that time modulation there kind of ties everything together nicely. And, again, there's this kind of unspoken rule with if you want nice sounding choruses or very musical, non-wobbly sounding choruses, you just want that spatial effect to sort of balance out the rate and the depth. So as you turn the rate up, turn the depth down, gives you this. And if we wanted the rotary speaker from hell, we can crank the rate on a couple of these lines up and add a healthy dose, and add a healthy dose of depth. We get this. The thing I really like about this is that it all remains sort of usable and musical, even though that's super wobbly and I've got the rate and the depth cranked up for that particular effect. It doesn't sound like just wishy-washy kind of modulated garbage, which you can get sometimes with chorus pedals. I'm sure we've all had that first multi-effects unit we had as a teenager where all you had was just like flanger and chorus and all this kind of stuff, and it made you seasick. But hopefully that gives you some ideas of what you can do with the chorusing in just the quad tap algorithm in the multi-tap delay block. There's also a couple of other algorithms in here which have extra features which I'm not going to look at yet, but if you're in the quad parallel delay, you can add resonators and ring modulation to all of this and just absolutely go crazy with modulation. And having diffusion in there, which is probably my favorite feature of this, really makes it versatile. I saved a couple of blocks the other day when I was just basically exploring this, using chorus on a couple of delay lines and then using delay and diffusion. I'll bring one of them up. I think it is this one, using a couple of different blocks. So I'll just play around with this. You can see I've got some modifiers attached to some of these. This is really fun. Have a listen to this. So that gives you another example of what you can do with these, where I'm using chorusing and I'm using the delay and I'm attaching modifiers to different things. I really like this one in the quad tape delay, which doesn't have chorus, but you just attach an envelope follower to it and have the minimum and maximum volume slightly offset from 1, and you get that kind of like, it sort of reminds me of My Bloody Valentine Loveless, the first track on there, where he's bending those chords and using self-oscillating delay. And I remember the first time I heard that and it just absolutely blew my mind. And this is kind of like that effect. I really like it. Sort of. Again, you got to use your imagination there to convince yourself. Anyway, that is an overview of the modulation capabilities of the multi-delay block. I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface here. There's so many great sounds. I'm going to play a couple of examples for you guys at the end with a few combinations of the multi-delay block in conjunction with the chorus block and the flanger block. And yeah, I will see you guys around soon. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope this inspires you to play around with the multi-delay in your Axe-FX 3 and come up with some sweet new tones and ultimately dial in your sound with all of this kind of stuff rather than just using like a preset. You can use this to totally go nuts and make your own fresh chorus sounds dialed into the way you like them that, you know, possibly people have never heard before, which is pretty exciting. So I will see you guys around. Here's some more examples.